Welcome to another AMA with Kadena Project Network. In this episode, we'll be speaking with the team from Alpha Slayers Club. This conversation was recorded on September 30th, 2022, live on Twitter Spaces. The views and expressions in this AMA do not represent the views of KPN directly and are not to be considered as financial advice. Please make sure to do your own research on the projects presented. Also make sure to follow our account to be alerted of new uploads. Now let's get started. Enjoy. Welcome everybody to another AMA with Kadena Project Network. Today we are speaking again with Alpha Slayers Club. They are just on the verge of their mint on Hypercent. So we're here to just go back through what the project's all about and then just talk about their release and everything that's going to be involved with that. So let's just start off with the usual elevator pitch of what Alpha Slayers Club is all about, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, sounds good. So, hey everyone. My name is Arnie. I go by Yeti or Real Yeti on Twitter, and I'm one of the co-founders of Alpha Slayers Club, together with Oscar, aka Kingslayer, and Alpha Slayers Club is about is basically an alpha sharing community in our project, and so what we do is we look at different projects across different chains, and we're trying to get to the root of it. So we're trying to really get a full picture as much as possible. So we're essentially digging into what public information they've got, and then we try to get their founders and decision makers on the mic. And so all of this is meant to help guide people with their decision making, because one thing that we've noticed ourselves is it kind of takes a while to cut through the BS in crypto, right? Because the barriers are incredibly low to get something going. And if you can write a good story, then this can be deceiving. But this still doesn't mean that you're necessarily making a smart trade, right? Or that you're making a smart investment. And this is basically what we want to convey. So we obviously have like a Discord and Telegram. We're mostly on Discord and Twitter. But then recently we also launched a YouTube channel, which I think many people are already familiar with by now. We're obviously deeply rooted in the Kadena ecosystem. This is where it all got started. But we're not maximalist by any means. We think that there is interesting opportunities nearly everywhere to be found, and so this is I guess pretty much what sums it up. Obviously we have this drop coming up with these rabbits that you might have seen somewhere. But I guess you've got a few more questions, so I don't want to preempt them.
So let's talk a little bit about why you guys went with Hypercent as a choice for a launchpad. Now that there's a few different options out there, let's talk a little bit about what drove you towards that decision.
So, I mean, honestly, we were just lucky that they approached us, because we were so we were kind of thinking whether we should go and build the contracts ourselves. So I'm a developer also by trade, and I also learned enough about PAC to be able to do it. But we were also looking at the different launchpad options, because we knew that this would allow us to essentially do more other things instead, right? So development work is extremely messy and it's extremely hard to predict. And then there came the day where we had the opportunity to speak to them, and they were offering us to essentially launch as one of their first NFT projects. And honestly, we didn't hesitate for a second. We thought it was a we were just honored to be asked. And then we basically figured out all the details, and and then it was already settled. And there's a few benefits of going with them, and this contract stuff is obviously one of them. So we knew from the beginning on that they were gonna be running on Marmalade, without any compromise. And that was something that we definitely wanted to have. So we didn't know at the time that it was going to take so long for it to be released and run stable somewhere and so on. But that's all fine, right? So it's a futile discussion, really. But this was something we knew from the beginning on. And I mean, it was also clear that they had a pretty decent track record, right? So they essentially sold out to projects. They had a amazing raise with their own token, with the Hype token. Then they did like a really good job on the miners of Kadena. And yeah, so like just from the outside, they have had a lot of things going for them. Obviously, they've got a huge community as well, which always helps. And yeah, also we just had a really good impression of like the way how they behaved, like was very low BS kind of interaction, and there was something that we really liked. And yeah, that was like the combination of all this was made it a very easy choice for us.
Yeah, definitely. There's lots of good things that Hypercent is offering, especially like Marmalade Standard, which is starting to now pick up pace as becoming what people are really trying to lean towards building upon. And even with other projects that have already released, like back building and probably switching over to Marmalade, which would be a good thing because it's nice to have one set standard across all the different marketplaces as well, so that you can, for example, have your listings listed on all the different marketplaces at once. You know, maybe like if a marketplace offers that kind of service to like cross promote and cross chain across the different marketplaces, it just makes it so much easier. Everyone's on the same standard, everything nicely translates back and forth. So it's nice to see that it did take some kind of tough conversation to lead to that, which the community kind of worked its way through. But I'm glad to see that people kind of came to an understanding and kind of got past all of the name calling and finger pointing part and got to actually, you know, figuring out what's best for everyone, not just what's best for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
So
I mean, there's substantial benefits to going with Marmalade, right? And I think going forward, it's not a question that we're gonna migrate to it, like the whole space, right? And I think most projects already had this on their roadmap at some point, right? At least the serious ones were thinking about it and also working on it. And yeah, I think it's also great that there was some stuff in between, right? Like you had some pragmatic workarounds for the meantime, and so this is always good, right? Because this means that more people are getting exposed to writing production code impact, and this isn't something that you can take for granted, right? And like even if you're a reasonably good developer, doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're picking up some new programming paradigms, right? Like programmers are just as lazy as everybody else, right? And they're not as curious as they claim, right? They just want to get stuff done, most of them at least. So yeah, I mean, it's great when you've got more people exposed to principles and like documentation and all that. So I think this is all on the plus side, but like it's so cool what you can do with Marmalade. So yeah, it's a no-brainer.
So let's talk a little bit about the mint itself and the NFTs
Mm-hmm.
themselves. So what date are people going to be able to finally get their hands on these NFTs, and what's going to be, for example, the whitelist timing and public sale? Has that all been figured out as well?
Yes. So let me. I hope that I can catch all of them, all the basics at once. So collection size is going to be 1,650. Then we obviously have got some reserve for whitelist holders. We also have a substantial allocation to hype token holders. So I don't know the exact number right now, but there is plenty. And these also qualify for essentially whitelist spots. And yeah, so registration is actually going to start on Monday. So that's basically when the whole bonanza is going to kick off. And then the week after, Monday, the 10th of October, there is going to be the first minting round. And then in total, there's going to be 3 rounds of minting. So first is, I think, all the free mints and our OFG role holders, which is basically like the highest level you can reach in our server, and those are especially the ones that have been with us from the very beginning. Then the next phase is going to be the everybody who's in the whitelist or in the Hypercent whitelist raffle, and then finally there's going to be a public mint during the 3rd round, and so I would need to check the exact dates, but we're gonna make them known everywhere again. And I think the whole minting phase is just gonna take. I think we capped it at 2 weeks. Because we simply didn't want it to go on forever, right? And it's, it's already exhausting right now, but like it's quite intense. And I've participated in other mint spectacles, and so we just wanted to make sure that there is like an end to it, and so I think this is at least 1 week, but maybe 2 in total. And then the collection is out, and people are going to have access to it. There's also going to be a reveal date. So the way the launch works is it's going to be fully randomized. And apart from like 7 team tokens or so, which are going to be the very first IDs. But other than that, and they're custom made, right? So we have, if you see K Block in here, and this is his design, then you might have seen my bluish Slayer. This is mine, and so we just wanted to make sure that we can that we as team members can have them, and we're not going to sell them anyway. But apart from that, it's going to be fully randomized, and so there's going to be a reveal event, and this is just so that nobody can essentially snipe the seemingly rarer ones, right? And I think this then happens 2 days after the minting period is finished. Oh yeah, and maybe mint prices. So OFGs get it for $25 equivalent in KDA. Then whitelist is gonna be 50, and public sale is gonna be 75. Yeah. So I don't know. Did I forget something?
No, I think that's pretty much everything about the NFT. Now, is there a reason why you chose to go with a USD value and not a set KDA type value?
It's but by now we could also just set it in KDA, right? It's kind of arbitrary when you do it. I think it was we actually set these prices when we had way higher prices like a few weeks ago still, and we would kind of set a ballpark when the KDA price was in a different shape, right? And so we thought that it was going to be good for people to kind of have an orientation, because most people simply think in US dollar terms, and then we just went with it. We didn't really think about that part too much, and for us it was clear that there's we just wanted to assign a certain value to it, and all our team is basically paid in not we as founders, but everybody who's helping us out, our artists and so on. They're doing valuable work, right, which is denominated in not in KDA yet. And so it was just this theme that kind of went through, and then we said, okay, I think 1 or 2 days or so before the minting starts, we're just gonna set the price then, and this is what we then go with. Yeah.
Now, regarding the whitelist, besides a smaller price that you have to pay, is there going to be any other further benefits to a whitelist holder or an early minter? Like, for example, if you guys down the road decide to do another collection or things like that, do these people get hold on perks or anything that comes along with that?
So I think right now it's only for the price. I mean, we have got these OFG roles on our server, and they're kind of set in stone. And we're not planning to change them anytime soon. But I think excuse me, I think I have to. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cold. Oh, more than expected. Sorry for that. Yeah, thanks.
No worries.
So I think for future collections, we're going to tie this more to the basically the holdings and the holding duration of tokens, right? So what we I mean, we've announced this already a long time ago, what other collections we are planning. And I think the way we're going to do this is rather look at who's holding how many and what's their weight, duration in their wallet, and so on, and thereby kind of reward those that are getting in early and that are getting in with larger quantities, and they should also have preferred access to whatever new stuff we put out, right? And yeah, so I think that's going to be the mechanism. And yeah, right now, I mean, it's a pretty substantial price cut that you can get. Yeah.
Now let's talk a little bit about the Hypercent Launchpad itself, because as some people who have ever gone to that site or used their Launchpad knows that they operate their own wallet. So like you can either create a wallet on their website, or you can import, for example, your private key or phrase from an X wallet into their website and stuff. So when people are signing up for a whitelist, would you recommend them just making a wallet on their website? Or if they already have given you, for example, an X wallet address that they have, would they then be best to import their wallet? Like, which would you recommend would be the best course?
I think by now you can use both the Hypercent wallet as well as the X wallet, off the shelf. So yeah, those are the two options. I am personally using X wallet for all of my stuff except for development work. And that should work just as well on Hypercent.
Just making sure, because when I was talking to the guys, they said that from Hypercent, they were talking a lot about their wallet and how it helps, further their the ecosystem and works in integration with anything. So I just thought maybe a little clarification on that might be good.
Yeah, well, actually, I need to check back on that, because I honestly don't know. I think they've got pretty solid infrastructure for sure. But I just know that you can basically bring your own wallet, but I don't know really what benefits the Hypercent wallet would give you in that sense.
Another number that I noticed that I don't think you spoke about when we were doing the NFTs is a max mint allocation. It says on the Hypercent thing that there'll be a max mint allocation of 3. Does that mean that no matter what, you'll only be able to mint 3, or that the whitelist people can only mint 3? Is that a set number in stone, or is that going to change?
Where was that? That's interesting. Is it on their website?
So it's if you go to the Hypercent website and go to the projects, they have the 2 screens that flip back and forth, right, between you and Kongs. And there it says, registration opens October 3rd. Come on, switch back. Then the 1650 Slayers, max mint allocation 3, and then the price, which is the higher price that you had before, and have to the $25 for the OG badge. I guess 50 and 75 would still be right.
Okay. So that might be outdated.
Just curious.
I don't think that we're gonna restrict it in such a way. So I mean, I did the whitelist today, and we've got plenty of people that have way more than 3. Yeah, again, I need to check on that. But it's a good thing.
Do you plan on having a wallet limit, so that, for example, a big whale couldn't come in and just wipe out half your supply?
So I think, I mean, whoever's doing this right now is out of their minds. I would not do that. But so yeah, I think we're gonna bring in we're gonna introduce a limit. I really can't find it. So if you could send me the link to that, maybe after the call, I would love to check, right? And we can maybe comment under this tweet, or under this space what the outcome
Well,
of this is. Yeah.
it was just on their app.hypercent.io website and then to
Okay.
projects.
Oh, okay.
Just click on projects. You'll see the information I was talking about. I'm just curious because I find that it is a good idea to have a limit on the amount of NFTs that one wallet can mint, just so that your community is spread across more wallets and more
Yeah.
people. You get more diverse. You just get more out of it that way. And like I said, there will be whales that'll come in and mint 50 or 100 or something like that, and when it's only 1650, it's not a huge supply. So having someone come in and take 10% into one wallet or something like that, I find is not the best course of action for a project to build a community.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I have found the page now. So yeah, we're on the same page. I think this is super old. And what we're definitely going to do is there's going to be a limit on the public mints, right? So there we're definitely gonna put in a ceiling. And it's exactly for that reason what you just said, right? So the reason why Bitcoin is so strong is because your mother has Bitcoin, right? Or I don't know who has it, but like pretty much every or lots and lots of people in the world have it, and this is why it's so persistent, right? So it really helps with price stability and so on. And yeah, so definitely from a project standpoint, this is always a benefit. And yeah, so this is something that's going to happen on the public for sure.
Good. Just making sure it's good to think ahead of things like that. Like I said, it's just I hate seeing, like, it's good to have every community will have its whale member and member that has the most NFTs and is really proud of it and blah blah blah. But it's good at the same time to have diversity in your community, and even the guy that has 5 or something like that can feel like he's just as important as the guy who has 25 or 30 or something like that, right? It's good to have that almost even type playing field at the same time as still allowing people to have that sense of superiority, because that's something a lot of people strive for. Although I find that it's not the best way to live your life, to strive for superiority, but people do enjoy that, especially in the NFT space, of flossing, and showing, oh, look at my wallet and look at all these NFTs and blah blah blah. It's just become another way of people flexing. It used to be back in the day of just oh, look at my Bitcoin wallet. Well, now it's look at my Bored Ape, or something like that. So it's just becoming a whole another section of glamour and glorification and stuff like that people are starting to use. And it's interesting to see the digitalization of things like this. And because, like, remember when I was a kid, things like your watch, like actual physical things, like the sneakers you wore, things like that were the ways that you showed off. And it still kind of is nowadays, but now with NFTs, it's become a whole other section and a whole other world. And it's crazy to see too, NFTs becoming more and more popular, in the sense that Christie's, one of the largest auction houses, just opened up an Ethereum marketplace. Like that's huge when it comes to not just Ethereum or all the other, just NFT adoption in general. So it's really cool to see where this trend is going, and hopefully Kadena can ride some of that wave in, now that we have places like Hypercent and Mint coming in, and places where people are going to be able to launch their projects and just get even more exposure and just build it out there. So where do you see, with the emergence of these new platforms and the new focus on NFTs coming around, just even in the mainstream, where do you see Kadena and our kind of ecosystem of NFTs going in, say, 5 years?
Um, so it's a rocky road. Let me use this as a cliffhanger. I just wanted to make another comment on this maximum allocation, because I mean you saw me fumbling on this a little bit, and this is mostly because it doesn't really matter if you put in a limit per wallet or not right now, right? And this is because you can create 10 wallets, and all of a sudden you've got, if the max is 3, then you've got 30. So this is not a big deal. And this is just a fact right now, right? And so on other chains, you've got your pre-mints and your social verification and so on, and like it's your wallets are being tied to these accounts, which are certainly unique, and so this is a proven practice, but on Kadena you simply don't have this, right? And this now again leads me back to the question you were just asking. I think there is a lot to be done, right? So, I mean, there has been so much buzz around Marmalade, and it's taken a lot of time. And if we continue at this pace, then other chains are simply gonna keep the upper hand, right? And I sometimes see people proclaiming, well, Kadena is going to be the NFT place. Well, somebody's got to build it, right? So it's as simple as that, right? And as long as this doesn't happen, as long as people don't put their foot forward and build these applications that are actually helping to make everything more more transparent, more fair, right? More accurate, and more in line with what you actually want to have as a community. For instance, maximum limit of tokens per person and not per wallet. As long as you don't have these things, it's gonna stay at a comparably disadvantageous level. And I know many people don't want to hear this, but this is just the reality of it, right? And having said all that, once you do have these things in place, I think there are no limits to it, right? And it's then probably going to be a question of overall adoption, right? So NFTs are certainly magnets to ecosystems, but they don't just work on their own, right? So you need to have everything else around it. You need to have your TVL, you need to have your staking applications, your no-code tooling. You have to have your rug pulls, right? And people that are preventing them or that are calling them out. So it's basically like a joint effort of many different parties pulling into somewhat similar but opposite directions, and or at least similar in spirit, right? Opposite direction but similar in spirit. And so I think these are some of the preconditions that you need to have for a single type of application to grow, right? And also, like, to make this very clear, you also at some point need to get past these rather simplistic animal type concepts, right? I mean, I like them, right? And I mean, we have an animal collection, so who am I to say? But you need to somehow tie these things up with more elaborate and more interesting and more dynamic experiences for holders, right? Because this is what many people are coming for, right? So if you look at some of these blue chip collections on other chains, why is that? Well, it's basically because these projects are able to build good habits into into the holder base, right? So if you look at Clonex, Clonex has been bought by Nike, and they're cranking out physical merchandise on a regular basis, right? So they have kind of broken, or they've fully broken this pyramid scheme that most NFT projects are ultimately dealing with. That there's always got to be something more, new collection, this, that, right? And in their case, I think it's a perfect example of how you can move a project forward, like with a certain vibe, with a certain style, and make something out of it, and turn it into something that is consistently giving rewards, or giving options to their holders, right? Let's rather put it this way, and this is what creates value, right? In their particular case, and in a similar spirit, if you look at something like D-Gods, for instance, it's I think the biggest project on Solana. If you just look at their website, you're going to see, well, they've got these interesting. They've got a very interesting function for sweeping the floor, right? So I think if you buy one of their floor price NFTs, then you get anywhere between 50 to 200% of their royalties of that transfer, right? So this is a much more elaborate scheme, and it's, it has some gambling aspect in it, right? And which is fine, right? It certainly serves a purpose. Like it keeps things interesting, and it makes sweeping the floor just that much more interesting, right? And so all these are just some examples of what is kind of the baseline on other chains, and I think this is absolutely what you ultimately need to see, right? And I think there's some interesting approaches on Kadena as well. So I think Nightbreakers could be an interesting one. They've got these basically they've got this time aspect to it, where overnight their NFT changes to a different shape. I don't know exactly like how this is going to be utilized, because I mean, your profile picture is not going to change, right? So you get to choose one of the two. The only thing that is going to change is what you see on something like KDFI or on their own website, right? But like this isn't like you just can't stop there, right? Like this is just basically one step into is one step of innovation, but then the question is always what's next, right? And I think the projects that are going to be most successful or that have been the most successful were the ones that were consistently bringing out new stuff that kept people excited, that were stimulating, and this is also an absolute necessity for the ecosystem as a whole, right? And I think if just to round those out, sorry for the ramble, but if on a if collectively projects are able to and willing and capable to deliver these experiences, then again there are no limits, right? Like the chain doesn't put any limits to what can be done. The question is just what are people actually building, and how are they getting excitement in the door.
For sure. Nightbreakers is definitely a very unique project. If you guys haven't checked it out, we did an AMA a week or two ago with them. I think it was a week ago. And it was very interesting to talk with them to learn about that. So make sure you guys go definitely check that out. But going back to what you said at the start of this about the limits on wallets and stuff, I totally agree with you. People can just whip up multiple wallets and stuff like that. It kind of leads back to an old saying my dad used to say when about like locking things up, that locks only stop honest thieves. Like if a thief really wants to figure out a way he's going to break into something, a lock's not going to stop him. And if someone's determined to get around a wallet max limit, they're going to just make more wallets. That's not really something you can stop. It's more of, like I said, it's a deterrent for people who are honest, really. But I still believe it is something that should be there for sure. But as far as as you said before too about the different projects and how they've branched out into different possible ways of the world, and like you said, merchandising and things like that. There's another good example is CryptoPunks, the original CryptoPunks from Ethereum. They are now I think they teamed up with like Tiffany or something, and you could get your CryptoPunk made into like a little jeweled and diamond necklace and things like that. And then you got all the integrations of Bored Ape Yacht Club with clothing and merchandise and all that kind of stuff. So that's definitely a wave into the future that you're going to see. But like you said, the tools need to be built first. All the infrastructure, it's great to have these marketplaces and stuff, but we need, more wallets that support NFTs. We need the back end infrastructure for a lot of these things. But all of this is going to come in time. I believe I've spoken to projects that are building a lot of these different tools. So hopefully we'll see this in the future, and it'll be something that it won't be too late, and we won't already be in the next bull run, and we can get a little bit of hype built up before or even during that run, just to kind of further push Kadena into the spotlight and say, hey, all these great things that you can do on these other networks are happening over here, but in its infancy, get in now while, things are still getting started. So it's a good time for people just to start building and getting into the ecosystem, because eventually that wave is going to break and we're just going to ride it out into the ocean together.
Yeah, I'm just not going to let the projects off the hook here, right? Because like what you said, like around this whole infrastructure, and I also said that earlier, like all of this is true, but any single project is able to deliver options to their holders, and this is what creates value, right? So on a single project level, the main factor that is driving up prices and is giving substantial benefits to their holder base, they're the ones that are branching into all these different fields, right? And so all the things you were just saying, like with the punks or Bored Apes, I think the decisive or the distinguishing factor that they have is their members are getting essentially options on a on a weekly basis, right? And an option always means that you don't have to necessarily take it, but the fact that you can choose is actually expanding your range of possible things to do, right? And this is what people appreciate, right? Or the better, maybe somebody else appreciates it a little bit more than you do, and hence a transaction comes into place, right? And so you can do this, on a purely digital level by issuing like a follow-on collection, right? And you were asking this right in the beginning, if essentially these OFG statuses were or whitelist statuses were carved in stone. No, they're not, right? But we are going to make follow-on drops, and if people like them, they're going to get firsthand and preferred access to them, right? And then there's going to be people who have this opportunity, but who simply don't want it, and they're going to trade this on this option to somebody else who desires it more, right? And then we have this crypto merge project on Kadena already, right? So you can basically print your NFT if you want, right? And you can do any kind of partnership with whoever, right? You can make a TV show out of Alpha Slayers if you're keen, right? And so all of these things are simply options, right? And I would really call every project to think about this as well, and if they're in it for the long run, right, it's not enough to simply drop a single collection, right, and be good with it, right? Even the apes have, I don't know how many collections they have got by now, right? But like they build a damn metaverse where people can show their things off, right? And like again, it's all comes down to what can you possibly do with it, right? And what exposure does it give you, right? And because we haven't talked about the community aspect yet, but community is also to some degree a function of all this, right? And I think what many projects get wrong is they all these grinding servers, they're basically getting people to community just for the sake of it, right? But what's a lot more interesting is if you can get people to talk about like common subjects, maybe on the basis of holding the same token or being part of the same community, right? But it's not that they're that they're really driven to do it just because they want to have like in a work sense, right? But because they want to discuss it, right? Maybe they want to show off certain things, or they want to weigh the options whether or not they should, right? This is essentially what creates then identification, right? And all these beautiful things. So I don't want to discount the fact that communities are pushing projects forward way before the first collection is out. But also after that, I think it's again up to the project to kind of keep the flame going.
For sure, you got to keep the community interested and keep them behind you and keep supporting your project, because once your community falls off, then you don't have anything really pushing you and keeping you in the spotlight and keeping you relevant, really. It's kind of almost in the way of like the influencers and stuff like that, where once they become irrelevant and people stop talking about them, they kind of fade away. And you want the community to be behind you and pushing you. And speaking of community, lately we've been doing a little bit of collaboration with you guys, doing some really awesome giveaways. You want to talk a little bit about what you guys are up to and what you've been up to with getting together with all these different projects and doing these awesome giveaways?
Yeah. So the very fortunate thing about what we've been doing is that we were essentially able to talk to some of the, basically to the founders of the biggest projects in the ecosystem. And I think especially these mining projects are, they're spinning pretty big wheels. And so we were glad that I think two projects in particular agreed to raffle substantial prices with us, and so we're doing one with KMC, excuse me, and we're doing one with Crank, and essentially this just came out of the relationships that we've had with them. So for now, I think it's going to be like a public raffle, but this is the kind of thing that we also want to continue doing once the collection is there, right? And then we're going to shift such events to the holders, right? And again, this leads back to what I was talking about just now with options, right? It's not that a miner can't be broken down into 1,000 different holders. I mean, you could break down the equivalent of it, but essentially, there's an expected value of you holding 1 to n tokens, and this then corresponds with the chances of winning one, right? And I mean, this isn't the primary thing that we're doing, but it's a very, very nice and also gracious bonus that we're getting out of these conversations, right? And it's not that you can just walk up to these projects and tell them, hey, do you just want to do like a shared giveaway, right? like you always get in your Twitter DMs of some random strangers, right? Like they don't do this on the regular, and so we're humbled that they agree to it. But this is like pretty much what we're hoping to deliver also in the future, right? Because we think it's the most organic way how we get to these opportunities, right? We're just good partners with them, and we've talked to each of them several times, and they were happy to share some of the stuff that they've got, and I mean, doing this together with you is obviously also helping us get exposure on these giveaways, and the rest writes itself almost.
Just to correct you for something you said, is that we're doing them with Crank, and you said KMC, but I believe it's actually Core that we're doing the giveaway currently with, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
So
I have to,
if you guys,
I'm so sorry. Yeah, of course it's Core.
no worries.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't know, we have both the giveaways live right now. We have the crank one is pinned on our Twitter page. So, and then the other one with core is like a couple tweets down. So, and we'll be making sure to share those out on the regular. And the good thing, like you said, of um, us putting them through is we were talking about this too. Is um, our like, not to toot our own horn, but our Kadena Project Network Twitter has been blowing up lately, and it's the difference of having a 12,000 person account reach versus I don't know, what are you guys at right now? You must be getting close to two yet, just almost 2,000.
Yeah,
Oh, you guys are
yeah,
going quicker
we're
now.
approaching.
So it's just really about community reach because we all share the same communities, right? It's not like it's, we're arguing over, oh, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. But, and like you said too, working with these projects, it's not like you're fishing for these giveaways and, like, contacting, like you said, you get all these DMs on Twitter, hey, you want to do this giveaway and blah, blah, blah. These projects are gracious enough to supply these things for the community to just bring more awareness to not just Kadena and the project, but the projects themselves. So we're more than happy to help out in any way we can, be it with our large reach or contributing. There's always lots of things that we're always willing to help out with. So I was very happy to see us being able to collaborate on that kind of stuff. And
Yeah,
one other
yeah, that,
collaboration.
mm,
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead if you had something to comment
yeah.
on that.
No, no. I mean, people keep talking about organic stuff, right? And I mean, it's so tempting to do non-organic stuff, right? To put this out here, right? And I don't know how many unsolicited offers we are getting, and I'm sure it's the same for you. But what we are just talking about, right? This is the difference between having proper connections with people, right, and having like a one-off, I don't know what thing, right? I'm not saying that the latter is bad. I'm just saying that, like, you can't take these things for granted, right? And yet, like, it's not that, like, after like one date, right, you get to kiss the girl, right? And so yeah, that's it takes a long time to get to this point. I can show you that, and it's rocky, right? And like, you don't get these offers presented, but you know, right now I think one of them actually asked us and said, "Hey, do you just wanna give away one of these?" Right? And like, once you hear something like this is absolutely mind blowing, right? And of course, you could always say, well, for core, well, they don't care if there's one more or less. What Well, you can't do this 100 times, right? So and this is I think what many people confuse, like when they're thinking of, you can just fake organic growth. Well, you to some degree, of course, you can bootstrap any follower count, whatever, but there's just a limit to it, right? And it's nice when philosophy and a strategy is rewarded in such a way, right? And so for us, it was also the most natural thing to speak with you guys again, right? Because, like, of course, we knew that there was going to be a lot more exposure, but also we knew, it would put you in the right position, right? So and I don't know how many times we've talked by now, right? And it was great every time. So and I think this is how an ecosystem should really work together, right? I mean, people that have barely met, but still working together productively.
Speaking of times we've talked together, I had noticed that you guys have your great new YouTube channel, Blocks and Brains. If you guys haven't checked it out, you can literally just go on YouTube and search Blocks and Brains, and it should be the very top thing that came up. It was the very top account that showed up for me. And one of the videos I noticed is our little chat that we had together, and it's up over 1,200 views. I was quite surprised to see that. I was like, wow,
Hmm.
that's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's to some degree the clickbaity clickbaity thumbnail we use, but yeah, no, it gets so much traction, and it's also like it's got a lot of backlinks from Twitter, obviously, right? Again, it's your reach, but yeah, super happy with that, and we're trying to make sense of like what is really making the difference here, right? Because of course we always want to learn, and want to understand like like is it the type of content, is it the is it the nice looking face on the thumbnail, is it the title, is it this, is it that. But yeah, it's quite astonishing what has happened there. Super cool.
Well, for sure, it was my face on the thumbnail. That has to be the thing that drew everyone in.
That.
All right. Well, it's been great talking to you. Let's go over again about the Mint, about how people can get the whitelist, when the Mint's going to happen, and everything they need to know. Just a kind of a quick recap.
Sure. So Mint is gonna happen on the 10th of October. We're opening registration on Monday, and you can basically get all the very necessary information on the Hypercent website where we are gonna launch. And so collection size is gonna be 1,650. I think there's going to be 1,485 or so up for sale on Hypercent, and mint prices are going to be 25 for RFGs. Really hard to get. Probably not gonna. Wouldn't try my luck there probably, or maybe you want to. Then whitelist, we're giving out a few more until next week. I think Wednesday. Then we have a cutoff. And so for that, it's going to be $50, but there's also going to be the opportunity to get in on the public mint for $75. And if you're interested in a whitelist spot, then just stay present on our Twitter. There's usually stuff being announced, and you can also join our Discord. And you can find all of the necessary links on alphaslayers.club. That's our website, and it's basically the link hub. Or just find us on Twitter. Stalk Chris of KPN. So there's endless ways to reach us. Yeah, and we're super happy also to answer any questions maybe coming from this. We didn't really open up during this hour, but if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to ask here or on our server. There's usually people happy to respond.
For sure. If anyone's listening right now and has a question, feel free to send in a request to speak, and we'll get you up here. But I just want to say that it was great talking to you as always. I always enjoy our conversations. We kind of have the same kind of thinking, the same kind of mindset when it comes to crypto and communities. So it's very, very nice to be able to talk once in a while with someone who's like-minded. And I can't say enough of just so great to see you guys finally getting closer to that mint date, because I've been following you since we got into Kadena. And it's just, finally nice must be a kind of a sigh of relief to finally be like this close, even though it must be very nerve-wracking at the same time.
It is. Yeah. Well, it's a step on the journey, right? And but yeah, of course, it's a huge event for us, and we're super excited. We're eager to figure out what's going to happen, right? And whatever outcome there is, we're going to roll with it. And it's exciting. It's exciting to be in this position now, and also want to give it up to all the support we've been getting. So we've got K-Block on here, who has been supporting us like crazy. Like, he is in total control of our Discord, and it's massive what he's pulling. And I also see so many familiar faces here. Shout out to Noah. So yeah, amazing to have you all around and seeing you again and again and again. This actually means a lot, and it's been fun, and I think it is going to continue to be fun for all of us. And yeah, thanks a ton to you also. Can only give back what you said. Always enjoy the conversation, and grateful for all the support you've been giving us from the very beginning.
Of course. Well, it was awesome talking to you. Thank you very much for stopping by. Thank you everyone for joining us. Make sure you guys go follow Alpha Slayers, go to their website, join their Discords. Try to get yourselves a whitelist, and once the minting opens on the 10th, get ready to mint yourselves some really cool bunnies. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today, and take care out there.
Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
That wraps up another amazing AMA. Thank you for listening. Here at KPN, we strive to bring an open platform for projects being built on Kadena to present themselves to the community. please ensure to do your own research on each project before investing. Also, make sure to follow us on our social media, from Twitter to subscribing to our weekly newsletter. All the links can be found directly on our SoundCloud profile page. Thank you very much for listening, and take care.